And welcome back live to KDKA-TV's live coverage of the Pittsburgh Penguins Stanley Cup Championship Parade. Along with Bob Pompiani, I'm Ken Rice. We're at Point State Park. The parade has made its way across town from Grant and Liberty down the Boulevard of the Allies to here where we are at the Point. In just a few minutes, we'll be seeing the players up on the stage behind us. We'll hear from, we don't know who, but at least some, and probably some of the names you can guess.
Yeah, and they have some guys who like the microphone on this team. They have others who don't, but you never know.
You don't think Phil Kessel will make a speech?
Phil Kessel will say something.
I hope so.
It'll
be entertaining.
Phil Kessel, that's the Phil the Thrill, can shoot the pill. We know that about him, and he's a goal scorer. And throughout the course of the playoffs, he picked his time to come up with big plays and big goals. In the Ottawa game that was scoreless until the very end, he got that game winner. He's a guy, like I said, who feels very comfortable here. He likes sitting in the background. He doesn't want to be put in that position.
Yeah, I think he was greatly embarrassed last year at the White House when President Obama made a joke that Phil Kessel is a Stanley Cup.
One of the best lines of that entire time.
You know, because you're right. You talked about his challenges in Toronto, huge expectations, and yet he came here and the fit has just been so excellent.
And there's another trade that Jim Rutherford pulled off. We talked about Hornquist, but Hagelin. Carl Hagelin was a speed element that they really needed. And they had to flip some people. David Perron was acquired here, didn't live up to what he was doing, and so there was a swap made there, and Hagelin came in, fit right in. I still don't know how the Rangers let him go at the time because I thought he was a big asset for them, but the Penguins brought him here, and boy, he was a big part of that HBK line last year. We haven't seen that too much this year, of course, but that was last year's storyline, HBK,
sure.
And it became one of those things that, man, people all over the place, including the WWE, they propped it up quite a bit.
You know, I started to say earlier, Bob, how cool was it to see Chris Letang, who hadn't played since February, suiting up along with his teammates on the ice to celebrate after Game 6. Nick Bonino did the same. Bonino hadn't played since Game 2 of the finals when he broke his leg, right? So he takes an injection for pain so he can suit up and go out. It just shows you how tight the bond is with these guys.
Yeah, and that's the thing about him. He tried to play, twice.
He played the rest of that game with the broken leg.
He did, and if you saw that shot again, that you can still feel it. It's a PK Subban slap shot that was it's one of the hardest in the game. Took it right there and shattered the leg, and so he was still willing to give it a go. And there were times you thought maybe he could, but he just at the end it was just too much. Even him, for a high pain tolerance, just could not get back on the ice. But he was there in uniform, as they all were at the very end, to celebrate together.
Is that
Patrick Hornquist?
Oh, Patrick Hornquist. Yeah, again, we talked earlier about what a thrill for him scoring that game-winning goal in Game 6 against his former team, the Predators. So, Bob, let's say you and your teammates have just won the Stanley Cup for a second straight year. You fly back to Pittsburgh. You know you got the parade coming up. But in the meantime, what do you do? You go out for a steak? Do you go out for lobster? Well, no, Sidney Crosby takes the cup and he goes to Rite Aid. And he goes to a supermarket.
Every place in Sewickley that he frequents.
And then I thought this was curious. Ian Cole tweeted about taking Ole Mata for Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A.
Nothing wrong with Chick-fil-A, right?
No. Very good stuff. And they're young guys.
You've just won the cup. Curious. He said he didn't think they had any Chick-fil-A's in Finland. So he thought it would be a nice occasion to show Mata.
Ole Mata's gone through an awful lot, as we said, how young he is, and yet he's answered the bell every time, from injuries to injury after injury, and a cancer scare as well. Yeah, Hornquist is the guy who gave them an identity that they didn't have. You know, a lot of people wondered back then when that trade was made, yeah, James Neal's a 40-goal scorer on this team. Why would you remove him? But the bottom line was they had a lot of goal scorers on the Penguins. They needed something else, a different element, and Patrick Hornquist provided it.
We're looking live there. We were there, looking live at the corner of Stanwix and the Boulevard of the Allies, right by the old Post-Gazette building. That's the final turn where the Penguins, the last few, will be making their way down here to Commonwealth Place and Point State Park. That's why the stage is set up behind us. Just a few guys, I guess, who are still on the route there. And once they get here, we'll have a celebration. And, you know, as the parade has been making its way from Grant Street, people have been coming with it. So they've been filing into the Point. I'm no good at crowd estimates, but there are easily tens and tens of thousands of people here at the Point waiting for this presentation. And we're on the city side between the Portal Bridge and the Wyndham Grand Hotel. You know, there's not a ton of space, but every area that you can imagine would fit a human being is filled with a human being.
And now they're all getting into it because we got some Bruno Mars 24K magic going on down here, and the people are into it as they await their players, owners, coaches, to get on stage here at Point State Park. So I love that song, and it kind of sums up the way things are right now. People are excited to see their guys.
I'm sorry, control room, were you trying to communicate something? All right, I'm sorry, we lost our connection there. But again, the crowd estimate could be, they're saying as high as 500,000 people. The big fear, you know, Bill Peduto took a lot of heat. The mayor took some heat when the parade was announced for Wednesday. Some people were saying, gosh, couldn't you do it on a weekend? Peduto made the point, well, the players, many of them are leaving town on Thursday. And then people weren't thrilled with the forecast. Initially, there was a 60% chance of rain for today. We haven't seen that. I understand there's still a chance, but right now the sun is shining, just some scattered clouds. And it's not as hot as was feared. You know, they thought it could be up toward 90 degrees. I think we're in the low 80s right now.
Bill Peduto had a nice tweet last night, and I saw this earlier, and I liked it as well. And it basically was a message, I think, directed at Nashville. You can throw all the catfish you want. We in Pittsburgh, we throw parades. Well, we know how to throw them.
And, you know, speaking of catfish, that will be one of the final official acts here today. You know, at Woolies, they've had a catfish named Stanley that they've been sort of nurturing over there in a tank. And at the end of the parade today, the catfish, which was caught by a local fisherman, will be returned, will be tossed into the river as a show of finality to this incredible victory over the Predators in 6 games. And again, as the Penguins always do, winning their championship on the road.
Yeah, not just the Penguins, but, you know, when you look at the Lombardi Trophy, the Steelers have won 6, and those are never going to be in Pittsburgh. So essentially, the last 11 championships have been won away from the city of Pittsburgh. So 1960 was the last time it happened. I thought maybe this year would be the year, but it's good it never got to a Game 7 because it would have been tonight, and it would have been nerve-wracking, and you know how they go. We saw the double overtime game against Ottawa, and you just don't want that because it can go any way at that point.
You know, I was thinking about that game, and we were looking at Chris Kunitz making his way down. Correct me if I'm wrong, Bob, but in that double OT game, that was Kunitz who ended that. I mean, talk about drama. Game 7, double OT. Incredible.
He's one of those guys, though. You know, he was very physical in this series for his age. Threw his weight around, but he's a guy who was a top 6 guy with Sidney Crosby along with Pascal Dupuis for many years. He knows how to read Crosby. He knows exactly where he needs to go to get to open ice. There we see Nick Bonino there with the beard and still not coming off. Most guys have shaved, I noticed, and not Nick. He loves that beard. He's like a Brett Kiesel of the Penguins.
This would have been a good day to shave it. Take it.
Yeah.
The heat. That can't feel good.
Yeah, that guy, you know, he may not be here next year. He's one of the unrestricted guys along with Trevor Daley, Chris Kunitz, and hopefully they have an opportunity to stick around if they can, but it may be unlikely.
All right, let's the presentation is beginning, we believe, here at the Point. Let's take a look.
Yeah, Ryan Milne, who does a great job as the public address announcer. He's on stage right now.
You're good? No, you're good. Now he's hiding. EJ's here. Did Hainsey leave? So here's a playoff stat line for you. 9 assists, 44 hits, 62 block shots, all while playing with a broken hand and broken ribs. He's number 28, Ian Cole. When injuries plagued the defense, this guy stepped up to play 34 regular season games, another 6 in the playoffs before injury sidelined him. We'll be seeing him a lot around these parts for years to come. Is number 2, Chad Ruido. When this guy's hair is flowing and his skates are churning, you can make sure the opposing defenses are miserable. And when he skates within 10 feet of the goal, you know what's going in, and you're happy he's wearing black and gold. Number 62, Carl Hagelin. Nine hits in 4 games in the Stanley Cup playoffs, just a sign of things to come for number 45, Josh Archibald. They're getting water. You can wait, right? No.